Good morning, everybody, from the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Welcome to today's mission status briefing. It's been a busy day for the SpaceX and NASA teams, and here to give us an update on the flight of the Dragon so far is Holly Ridings, who is the lead NASA flight director. We're also joined by John Caloras from the SpaceX facility there in Hawthorne, California. So we'll get started with Holly.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Today is a really great day to come and talk to you because it's been very, very successful up to this point. Today we performed our first joint operations with the team at SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. And this is really something we'd been training for many years and really looking forward to. And we're excited that this first operation jointly with that team went as well as it did. So we had a very successful fly under, where Dragon flew under the space station about 2.5 kilometers below the space station. Again, this was our first joint operation. We had several activities that we wanted specifically to accomplish with this fly under. One of those was communication between the Dragon and the space station. We were able to establish that successfully, check out that link both from the crew on board and the ground teams. And so that was very, very positive. One of the capabilities that we needed to perform the rendezvous and the capture tomorrow. We also were able to kind of shake out our process of working together. Again, I mentioned we'd been training and practicing that for many years, but doing it for the first time with two dynamic spacecraft flying very close together. You always want to make sure that you're going to be able to work as you trained, and I'll tell you that it went very, very smoothly. It felt exactly like our training. The teams communicated about all of the activities that were performed today in a lot of detail and showed a lot of understanding and communication. The other thing we did today, certainly on the space station side, we worked some with our crew as they prepared for the rendezvous and capture tomorrow. Those activities were some training activities, doing a kind of a last run through with the SSRMS, the robotic arm that's in the position it will be that they use to capture the Dragon tomorrow. And so they were doing some final training runs with the robotic arm, and they were actually also setting up their displays, their cameras, checking out the crew command panel, which again is how they communicate from a command standpoint with the Dragon. And we also were able to see the Dragon as it flew under. The crew reported to us a tally-ho with the Dragon. The Dragon has a strobe light that was turned on, and as the Dragon passed below the space station, the crew reported they were able to see that light, that strobe light, and then our station cameras captured the Dragon as well, which is the picture that you're seeing on display here, our downlink from our external station cameras. So all of those things wrapped up into, as I mentioned at the beginning, a very successful day, a great day in space, and certainly from the NASA side, we are excited about how the mission is going so far. And so with that, I'd like to hand it over to my colleague and my counterpart at SpaceX, the Dragon Mission Director, John Caloras.
Good morning. Thanks, Holly. Yes, it's a very exciting day for us at SpaceX. As Holly said, we performed the flyby at 2.5 kilometers below station. All Dragon systems checked out. We look good. We're currently past station now, preparing to fly up and over station overnight and prepare for berthing. Dragons go for berthing day tomorrow, and right now we're looking good across the board.
Okay. We'll take some questions starting here in Houston first, and then we'll go to the phone lines. And since we have Holly here and John out there in California, we ask that you direct your question and let us know who you're asking it of. So we'll start over here with Mark.
Thank you, Mark Carreau for Aviation Week. This is for Holly Riding. Can you sort of compare what unfolded today with what you kind of expected or anticipated, even with all of the training? And though today was a success, do you feel like you need to caution us that tomorrow is still pretty sporting, or do you feel more confident based on what happened today?
Okay, so in terms of the training, obviously the mission's really got two large components. This was the first one, the fly under. The second is the rendezvous capture berthing activity, which will take place tomorrow. We had practiced and trained both of those components, and I'll tell you today went really very close to how we had trained it. There was no major deviations from our pre-flight plan, and really nothing that we saw that we had not discussed at some point in time prior to the mission. So when you perform operations with the real vehicle, it's always a little bit more interesting in terms of you learn things, you see the real data, but all of the pre-flight planning, our flight rules, our procedures, everything held up under the scrutiny of really flying in space with the Dragon for the first time. In terms of how I feel about tomorrow, certainly this is a demonstration flight, a test flight, as we've been saying, and to get through this first piece of it obviously makes you feel positive, but in terms of the activities tomorrow, there's still a lot of really new things that the teams need to perform, and the vehicles, frankly, need to perform. And so, although today was successful, this is still definitely a demonstration of flight and a test flight.
Thank you very much. I had a follow-up question. During the activities today, there were some difficulties on the station with the console monitors, and I realize there's a backup in the lab. I just wonder if there was any after action that's required today and overnight before you go forth tomorrow based on what happened today with the monitors, or if they're all good to go now.
So the short answer is they're all back in the nominal configuration and ready for tomorrow. Specifically, we had one of the monitors at the robotic workstation that kind of froze. That happens periodically, so we had to go through a reboot process, just like you'd reboot your laptop. And so it comes back up. The crew then did use that monitor for various activities, and so we know it's functioning properly. This, again, is a standard thing we see with a lot of robotic activities. They also were performing a calibration of some of our external cameras so that those cameras communicate with the information on those monitors very accurately tomorrow. And so that process took a little bit longer than expected, just because it's the first time we'd really done it for this specific vehicle. We have done that calibration before for other visiting vehicle HCV as an example. So it's just been a while since we'd actually executed that activity. But again, we got through it, we got the data we needed, and everything is set up and ready to go for tomorrow.
Philip.
Philip Sloss with NASASpaceflight.com. I just had a question about the timing for today and then also for tomorrow. The HA2 burn today was about an hour behind the I guess the timeline that we'd seen. Why was that, and is that going to propagate out for tomorrow's rendezvous as well? Thanks.
Okay, so the answer is it's not going to propagate for tomorrow's rendezvous. We expect the rendezvous to be on time for our pre-flight plan. And then I think for the first part of your question, I'll actually let John answer.
Yes, thank you. So that's correct. We ran about 50 minutes from the nominal timeline from the launch. Once we inserted into orbit from Falcon 9, we adjusted some burns in order to meet the height adjust 2 burn time as close to 0700 UTC as possible. And working with Holly's team, we decided it was 0747 was our target, and we hit it about 0752. So on the replan, we're actually very close.
Yeah, and I'll follow up by saying, again, as John said, that was really a decision we made just with managing the mission. We had a pre-flight prediction, and then after the Dragon got on orbit and we were able to watch how it was flying, it made a little more sense to us to start a little bit later in the crew day and make sure we had a lot of really solid time to involve them. And so we had a discussion and like I said, targeted that a little bit later than we'd planned pre-flight. As they fly around, they will then target our pre-flight time. Tomorrow, we don't have the luxury of starting a little bit later because it's a really long day for the crew, and so we expect to be right back on our pre-flight plan tomorrow.
Okay, Robert.
Robert Perlin with collectspace.com with a question for Holly. Sort of working off of that, if you do run into delays tomorrow, is there a hard time where you would either have to call an end to an attempt to a berthing, or if you were grappled, when you would have to call and say that it has to remain on the arm until the next day to be berthed?
Yeah, so yes, the short answer is yes, and really the biggest consideration is you're kind of managing your crew timeline. They are a resource and a consumable. If you think about it, they're going to be working very hard all day. So if we were to have challenges as we did the rendezvous, there is certainly the option to go ahead and put the Dragon in what we call an overnight park position, where it stays on the arm overnight and you finish up the berthing. That's an analyzed configuration. It's a pre-planned configuration. Certainly, I know everybody would be much more excited if the Dragon was berthed. But if we need to do that, that's something we've discussed. We have all the procedures, and it's similar to plans for the other visiting vehicles. So if you're looking for a hard limit, it's really based on the crew day and how much we need to work them. So there's a fair amount of margin beyond the actual capture time, on the order of several hours, that we'll be able to go ahead and work through any challenges and still have enough time to get berthed tomorrow. And then even after that, we've got this pre-planned activity, this overnight park, which we could use if we needed to.
And just a quick follow-up on that, if it did come push to shove, would that be something that, since it's based on crew time, that Don Pettit and the others could call down and say, no, we want to work into the night, and you'd allow them?
So you're familiar with some of our crews, and they love to work. It's my job and John's job working with me to protect them, because they are a resource, so we don't want to burn them out in one day. I fully expect them to call and say, hey, we'd like to keep going, but it's our job as a joint team to know when we've done as much work as we need to today and make the decision that we'll just go to the next day and preserve really the team as a resource to make sure we can make the right decisions.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions over here? No? Okay, let's go to the phone lines. I believe that we have Charles Atkinson.
Good morning, Charles Atkinson, Examiner.com. For John, what is the current fuel level aboard Dragon, and how does it compare with the pre-flight numbers pre-docking?
Certainly. So currently, we are tracking above our pre-flight plan. We're about 36 kilograms, if you'd like an exact number, above our pre-flight plan, and we're looking very good. It's a fairly consistent profile to the plan now for the re-rendezvous and berthing, so we should be good. And this protects us if we need to extend, or as Holly said, as a test flight, if we need to take more time and come back around a second time.
Okay, and John, one more. Unlike today, will the cameras aboard Dragon allow viewers here on the ground to view the space station pre-docking?
So the cameras will be available. We use them, we need to be over a ground station when we receive video. The cameras will be, or rather the video system will be connected to our thermal imagers. So we will have video of station, but it will be in the IR spectrum, the infrared spectrum.
Okay, and will that be available on NASA TV?
We are feeding video to NASA, and I'll be working with Holly when that's available.
Okay, and Holly, my final one is May 31st the absolute final day Dragon can stay docked to station?
Well, let's see. May 31st is our nominally planned departure day. The Dragon has other landing opportunities, reentry and deorbit opportunities, and John could tell you some of the specific dates beyond that for Dragon. On the space station side, at the beginning of June, we're headed into a high beta time period for about 10 or so days, and so we'd like to not do any dynamic vehicle activities, dockings, undockings, berthings, unberthings in that time period. So May 31st is nominal. We've got a couple of days after that to work with, and then the Dragon, if needed to, could stay even longer than that.
Very much.
Okay. How about Jason with Wired Magazine?
No. Hi, a question for John. Want to know a little bit more detail about the rehearsals and simulations beforehand. If it's possible to get any kind of idea of how much time that you worked with NASA on some of these simulations, and then in particular, were there any things in the simulations for this next stage, tomorrow's part of the mission,